Hello, everybody. The interview that I had was very interesting to me because I have known this person for quite a while, and I decided to interview her because I knew that she has some stories. But whenever I asked her if she had family members that suffered or suffer from an addiction, she said that she didn't have any. But then, since I had known or I know some stories about her life and about her past, I decided to change my word choice and I asked her directly if she had family members who suffered from a drinking problem. And that's whenever she clicked and she thought of her brother. And so I wanted to dig a little bit deeper on this experience. And the more I heard from her experience, the more confused I was because everything that she was telling to me, it was a very common thing to happen to an addict and to their families. And so she told me that her brother, he was a good man. He had a lot of potential and he was smart and he was hardworking. But at some point in his life, he started making bad decisions, poor choices, and he just started making a lot of mistakes. As a normal addict, I don't know if I could say normal addict, but as any other addict would do, he started lying, he started stealing, he started running away and not coming back in weeks. Then he just started getting paranoid in one of his escapes, which led him to go to jail, which led him to be dishonorably discharged from the military. And all those things that were happening to him, those things were just starting to weigh on him. And so he just started having some suicidal thoughts. And that's whenever he understood and he learned that he needed help, that he needed to ask for help. And so I asked Julie, how was the communication with him, with Luke? I'm gonna call him Luke. How was the communication with him whenever before he realized that he needed help? And she was telling me it was not easy. There was a lot of yelling, a lot of fighting, a lot of begging, and sometimes it would work. Sometimes he would be reluctant to change. Sometimes he would be defiant and defensive, and he would just not listen at all. And that happened on and off for years until he realized that he needed help whenever he just didn't want to die. And whenever he started having those suicidal thoughts, that's whenever he asked Julie to take him to the VA. Whenever they went to the VA, nurses or therapists or counselors or any professional help didn't work on him or the family. Nothing worked until they decided to ask his fellow veterans, and one specifically, and he actually helped the family understand what Luke was going through, and he helped Luke understand what their family or his family was going through, or what they were thinking and what was happening in their lives because of his addiction. And so after that, he started progressing a little more. His life started just getting better. His life started getting better, and the conversation started getting better too, because he understood that he needed help. Then he was able to listen, and that's how I got my conclusions from this interview. First, communication works both ways. If one side is not willing to listen, if one side is not willing to receive the information that it's given to them, the conversation is just not going to work. And until Luke had the willingness to listen to their family, to his family, and to actually receive that help, he was not going to be able to make it. And the second conclusion that I made was, sometimes as counselors, we sometimes we tend to take things too theoretically, and we try to treat the addiction more than the patient. And so I think that we need to learn how to understand, love, and tolerate the patient more than tolerate their addiction, if that makes sense. And so that was my interview with Julie. It was very enriching, very knowledgeable, and I am really glad that I got to interview her. By the way, Julie is not her real name. It's just the name that I gave her so I could protect her. but yeah, that was my learning from this activity.